Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Today, we are going to learn to make a very delicious, healthy recipe. It's not too hard to make. It's called curried chickpea salad, and the chef that is making it, her name is Chef Caroline. We're going to get to know a little bit about her, and she works with a wonderful company called MamaSezz, and we're going to learn a little bit more about MamaSezz. I've done some interviews with Meg and her mom, Millie, but if you don't know them, we're going to tell you all about them, and they're doing an incredible offer right now. With any order, you're going to get a huge bag of greens, so please stay tuned for this wonderful recipe, and welcome, Chef Caroline. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I feel like this is such a good time to be on your show just because you're the weight loss guru and it's quarantine and everybody seems to be sitting at home and gaining a lot of weight even though they're not eating out a lot. So I think this is just a great time, great opportunity for us to connect.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself as a chef and how you got involved with MamaSezz and your plant-based journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I became plant-based about 5 or 6 years ago, and I did it for humanitarian purposes. I had taken some courses in college, and I ended up doing my senior thesis on the dietary shift in Samoa. So I kind of had the animal aspect and then the diet aspect, and they kind of came together finally, and I was like, I can't really just ignore the facts. I got to go with it. So I became plant-based, and I've always loved to cook. That's always been a passion of mine. And I was really, really worried that when I changed my diet, I would just cut out all of these opportunities and I would have to work with this minimal amount of ingredients. So that was really my biggest fear. And then the more I did it, the more I discovered that it was pushing me in directions that I had never been in before. And I had to get creative, and it was actually a really great challenge. So that was really exciting for me. And I found MamaSezz shortly after I graduated. And I actually know Meg. We're from the same town, and we ended up connecting about plant-based eating. And I said, this is the greatest company I've heard of. I need to work for you. For those of you who don't know what MamaSezz does, it's a whole food plant-based meal delivery service. We ship all over the US. We have an SOS free line. We have the Chef AJ bundle that's totally SOS free. And they have a really great founding story. And that's what really grabbed me to the company. And I'll give a little blurb about that story just because it's so touching. But the story's on YouTube. You can find it at mamasezz.com. But it really all started with Meg's mother, Millie, who was dying of congestive heart failure. And she was at 10% heart function. She was at Dartmouth Hospital, and they said, send her home, bring hospice in, and say goodbye. And they just decided, no, that's not okay. We're going to fight this. And they found a lot of information about preventing and reversing heart disease online through books, through Dr. Usselson. And they ended up just feeding her little bits of smoothies, little shakes, little bits of soup, really just through a straw at first because she was so out of it at the time. And she just started to get better and started to get better until eventually she was taking a few steps. And now she's 88. She has, I think it's between the low end of normal and normal heart function. She drives, she does yoga, she swims, she has a great community of friends, and she's absolutely thriving. And I just said, when I heard that story, I want to be a part of this. I want other people to have that same experience, and I want to make it easy for them. And that's really Meg's mission too, is just to make whole food plant-based eating, or just eating a little bit more fruits and vegetables, really doable for people. Because I'm sure everybody here who transitioned to a plant-based diet from the standard American knows it's kind of difficult at first. I know I was throwing about 4 or 5 cups of hummus on everything I was eating because I was worried about protein. I was a student athlete at the time. And, my coach was also plant-based, and he was like, yeah, you can relax a little bit about that. But we just want to make it easy for people. So we put information out there. We ship food all over the US. It's ready to eat. It's not a meal kit, so everything's already assembled, and it's really the center of your plate. So we sell chili, we sell casseroles, we have breakfast, desserts, and you can spice it up your own way. We send it with serving suggestions. So if you do like to cook, it's something great to have in the refrigerator. You can play around with it a little bit, but if you just want to open up the bag and eat it cold with a spoon, that's fine too.
You know, I have some wonderful comments about Mama Says right here from Julie, for example, saying hello from Minnesota. She says, I love Mama Says. I've purchased a dozen or more of the Chef AJ bundles, plenty of food to give me energy for ultra running. Packages arrive frozen promptly and are delicious. And she bulks them up with vegetables, great options. And I think, you know, even for people that absolutely love to cook, it's so great, just like you say, to have a few in your freezer. Like you have one of the best marinara sauces I've ever tasted. And sometimes people, when they travel or they just run out of food, it's just nice to have it as a backup.
It really is. I even find myself placing orders for bundles because, at the end of a work week, or I go out and play some tennis with friends and I get home a little bit later and just need to get something in my system. I don't want to sit there and chop and do the dishes. And sometimes you just need something you can grab. And, that's why fast food came around. But obviously, that's not going to help your health at all. So we're kind of an alternative there. It's really so you don't have to worry. It takes that stress level off and you don't have to spend all the time. It really gives you the gift of time. We always joke around, what do you do with your extra 30 minutes that you're not chopping and cleaning when you're eating Mama Says? And we've gotten some great responses from people. I know a lot of people, they get their nightly walks in. One person said, oh, I just sit in the dark and relax. People can work on their projects. One of the co-founders learning electric guitar with her 8-year-old daughter. So it just gives you the gift of time, which is really exciting. And the gift of health is an added benefit.
Well, Karen credits Mama Says with her helping to go plant-based. So that's wonderful. And, I don't know if you know this story, Chef Caroline, but I'll tell it in case people don't know. It was when Mama Says was starting out, somehow Meg heard of me and she said, can you, promote this? And I said, well, I can interview you on my show, because I don't interview people that are exactly like me. That would be like two people and the show would be very boring. And I said, but I can't really like promote it because at the time I was working for True North, which is strictly SOS free, and you are strictly oil free, whole food, plant-based, but you might use a little bit of salt in some of your things. And I said, but I really can't because I work for this guy and he's really strict, blah, blah, blah. So then she came up with the SOS free bundle. She shipped it to True North. We had this tasting with Chef Ramses Bravo and Goldhammer, and it got the thumbs up for Dr. Goldhammer. So that was really great that you have options, because I don't care if people eat salt. I don't even care if they eat sugar and oil. I just care that they eat plants. But I think it's really great that you are able to accommodate different people.
Yeah, one of the goals going into it is we didn't want to leave anybody out. So we welcome meat eaters to the table, just eat some more fruits and vegetables. We welcome people who, like you said, eat a little sugar, eat some salt, eat some oil, but this is just a good way so that they can move more in the direction of eating more whole food plant-based, which is just really beneficial, as and everybody watching, to your health. And we also make our products without gluten, so that more people can enjoy the food. And we try to, when we get suggestions like you came in saying, let's do SOS free, we adapt, because we find that, we don't, like you said, you don't like to interview people that are, just like you and eat just like you, because that's no fun. So we like suggestions coming in from the outside, and we've created dozens of products just because there's been a need for them. We're actually working on a soul food line right now for Southern comfort food, because there's just such a need for that right now. And we're working with a great chef who is really excited about that project.
That is so cool. We're getting lots of nice compliments on how beautiful your kitchen is.
Oh, thank you. I just moved here. I'm in Portland, Maine, and it's my tiny little kitchen. I definitely put the plant here to block some of the mess in the corner, but thank you.
It looks great. Talk a little bit, Chef Caroline, and she will do the recipe, but it's just, I know if you do the recipe first, y'all might leave. So we want to keep you engaged for a little bit hearing this wonderful story. The way you guys ship it is so cool, because it's like you can ship it back, so there's no waste. Talk about that, because to me that's almost as important as that it's plant-based.
Absolutely. A huge benefit to being plant-based is saving the environment. So we didn't want to totally ignore that. We're a company that we'd like to believe we're very well-rounded, and we try to look at each aspect as we go forward. So one of them was, we can't be shipping styrofoam boxes to people's houses and having them be thrown away. And we don't want to ship these boxes to people's houses and have them having to deal with it, because when Meg and Lisa were first helping Millie go plant-based after her congestive heart failure issues, they were ordering from other companies and they just noticed that their garage was filling up with these boxes and liners. And they said, this is a huge problem. So we decided that we would ship in reusable boxes and we would use eco-friendly liners and ice packets that can be reused also. So we send you with a return label, we send you with a FedEx phone number, and the return label has your name on it. So you just call FedEx, leave it outside your front door, they'll pick it up, they'll bring it back to us, we clean everything down, break everything down, and we can recycle and reuse those.
That is so great. Dr. Woodruff is watching and wanted to know, what is the percentage of fat on most of your meals? Because I don't think you don't use nuts, or if you do, you don't use very much fat.
It really varies product to product. Some of our high fat products I know have up to 10%, but we also have some with 1% or less. Our cashew cream, notably, we make a mac sauce, and that is a little bit high, on the higher end, but that would be something that you're mixing with other food to kind of bring down the fat content there. And you wouldn't, be using a cup or a whole bag at a time. But most of our products are extremely low in fat. We also, our products that are not salt-free are still low sodium. And then we don't use any refined sugars in any of our products.
That's amazing. So is your role, Chef Caroline, to develop the products, or are you actually in the trenches making that food every day?
I started out in the trenches making the food, and I love going back there and helping out in the kitchen. Just this past week, we were developing a jerk chicken made from soy pearls, and I was in the kitchen helping out to develop that product with our head chef, Kelly. And we were just having an absolute blast. It's going to be back there, but I do a lot of recipe design in my own kitchen, or on the off days where we're not producing through MamaSezz. And we take in suggestions from everybody. A lot of the products have even been developed by one of the co-founders, Lisa, who loves to cook. So we take input from everybody, but I do a lot of recipe design for our website and then also for our product line.
That's so cool. So which recipes are yours? Like, is Millie's chili your recipe? Because that's a very popular one, isn't it? Almost your most popular, one of the most popular?
I would say it's one of our most popular. It's so versatile. You put it on a potato, you put it over, air fried French fries. You can put it over our Buddha bowl base, which is mixed brown rice, quinoa, and chickpeas. You can put it in lettuce taco shells. It's so versatile. Everybody loves it. It's a mild spice, so you can add more spice if you want. I didn't develop that recipe. The story is actually that when Meg was developing that actual recipe for Millie's chili, she was inspired by her mother, Millie, who would make a big pot of chili once or twice a month. And that was Millie's absolute favorite. So she said, we're going to use the same spices here. We're going to use, a lot of the same ingredients, and we're just going to adapt it so that it's whole food, plant-based, and healthy, but you're still getting that recognition from your favorite dish. And that's actually very inspired by the recipe that I'm making today, because my mother used to make a really delicious curried chicken salad that I would love to eat in the summertime. And it, had chicken and mayonnaise and all of that. She's a relatively healthy eater, but, in comparison to whole food plant-based, it definitely needed some tweaking. And I said, I'm craving that right now. And the beauty of whole food plant-based is that you can really take any recipe and adapt it as you know. It's all about the spicing. It's all about the texture. And so that's why I've chosen this recipe today. I also like to gear more towards comfort foods, because I think there's this notion out there that you're eating salads all the time, or you're just picking at berries. For breakfast, I had a chocolate peanut butter milkshake. For lunch, I had some Millie's chili over air fried potato fries. And for dinner tonight, I made a lasagna out of our Hungarian mushroom stew, mac sauce, marinara, and a couple shreds of zucchini. So you can make really mouth-watering food, and nobody would ever guess that it's plant-based, because it really tastes like what you're used to. I've actually had people argue with me that the lazy lasagna that we produce has ricotta in it. And I'm like, no, I know, we made it. It does not have ricotta in it. They just could not believe it. So it's exciting, especially when you're trying to introduce somebody to eating this way, maybe a family member that's having health issues. The best way to do it is to serve them delicious food and then start the conversation from there, because I think people do have that notion that it's rabbit food
No,
And
not your marinara sauce. I keep going back to it. It's just so good. And I know how to make marinara sauce, but it's the best. It's so delicious.
it's just so chunky and flavorful, and again, really versatile. You can do so much with it. And that comes in the Chef AJ bundle. So does the chili. And the Buddha bowl base that I mentioned also. There's a ricotta style mushroom and tomato bake that I absolutely love. And that's a tofu ricotta. There's basil, lemon juice, garlic, some of our marinara, mushrooms. I smear that onto a pizza crust made entirely. I just blend quinoa and water, raw quinoa, and then bake it in the oven to make a crust. Smear that on there. It's so good. Or stuffed in a potato. I know you're the potato queen. I love potatoes too. You can really do anything with them. There's also a breakfast protein bowl, which is like a black bean bowl. We have a breakfast scramble in there. Pecan balsamic dressing, which is a little sweet. It has the bite from the vinegar, a little pecan to make it smooth. Moroccan stew, which is just a punch of flavor. And that one's really good actually with a little bit of peanut butter stirred in if you are doing nuts, because it tastes almost like an East African peanut stew. And then the last one in the bundle is the lentil dal over quinoa, which has just enough spice to it. You can add a little more if you want, but it makes for a great lunch. It's in a double serve container. And just pop it in the microwave and eat it.
Yeah. I used to order, everybody's working at home now, but before that I used to leave for jobs, and sometimes we go on, sometimes up to 5 weeks, and I would order it before I left so that my husband would be able to eat.
Oh, yep, that's a great idea. I try to bring some to my brother. He's a couple hours away and doesn't eat as healthy as he could, and I just kind of leave it in the refrigerator and walk away, and it's always gone. And I'm like, well, I know you're eating well. And it's a lot of people send them to their elderly parents. They send them to their college age kids. They send them to, someone just had a baby. Here's the gift of time. You don't have to cook. You're eating healthy. You know that you're nourishing your body so you can nourish your baby. It's actually, a lot of our food is very baby friendly. One of my colleagues just had a baby maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and the little baby will pick up the noodles and just snack on them from the lazy lasagna, loves to eat the beans from the chili. Everything is very child-sized, and it's totally healthy for babies to eat as well, because no preservatives, organic, it's not all that gunk in there that you're worried about feeding your kid.
Right. This is a great idea. I don't have any friends that are baby age, but if you did, like as a baby gift, to send this home when the baby comes home, I think a parent would appreciate that just as much as bibs and diapers.
Oh, I think so too, because really, I think the struggle for people is finding the time. You're overwhelmed. You have a new baby, and especially if there's another kid at home at that point, and you're having to feed that child too, which is very overwhelming. So giving that as a baby gift is fantastic. And also we do have a single serve option for people's elderly parents, especially if they live alone, so that they can just take that single serve, pop it in the microwave, and dinner's done. And they don't have to worry about that. And they know that their parents are eating well, especially later in life when heart disease is such a struggle for people.
That's a great idea. And, some of my clients, I've recommended they use MamaSezz, believe it or not, on vacation, because I was just listening before we came on to a webinar by Dr. Rosanne Alviera about why people gain so much weight during the pandemic, or why people reach plateaus. And she said that she's worked with people that just one restaurant meal a week, one glass of wine a week. For some people, they can't have their weight budge. And so people that really want to be compliant, you can have it sent to your destination. So like when you're on a vacation or visiting somebody, you can have it sent to wherever you're going to be.
Oh, absolutely. I used to go down to West Virginia to visit my grandfather, and I would send a bundle down there because I was having a lot of trouble finding foods, especially when we went out to eat, because we didn't have a lot of time there, that were compliant. And so I would send that down there. We'd all have food for the week. Could introduce my grandfather to some healthier foods, which I was really excited about. And it made everything a lot easier. It was more convenient. You don't have to, especially if you're staying in a hotel or a place without a kitchen, it's great. And I've also heard of people ordering it right to their hospital when they're in recovery. Maybe they've had surgery or something like that. And as we all know, hospital food sometimes is a little more like Jell-O and pudding and pizza. So they get the MamaSezz delivered there, keep it in their mini fridge, and then they just eat that throughout the week and heal. They don't have the inflammation. It's a lot easier to heal when you're not struggling with that as well.
Absolutely. Dina says, will MamaSezz open up a distribution center for Canadians? The way that Plant Pure Delivery Foods is made in Toronto, but only available for US delivery. Is it shipped from California to the US? So I guess the question is where do you ship, and will that ever be expanded?
We ship to all 50 states in the US right now. We ship out of New Hampshire, but all of our bundles are free shipping all over the US. So if you get a bundle, you can tack on a few more items if you want, and it'll be free delivery. It also comes with meal suggestions. Currently, we do not ship to Canada. There are plans for the future to ship up there and maybe make a line of products that's a little bit easier to ship. So just if you want to subscribe to our email, we will update all the time, different bonuses we have, free gifts that we're sending out. We do a Saturday cheer email. I don't know if you've seen them, Chef AJ, but they are hilarious. Especially during this time, it's nice to have a little laugh every once in a while. So we just put funny stuff from around the internet, send it out. And I'm telling you, companies never get thank you for your emails, but we receive those all the time. So if you subscribe to our email list, you'll be able to hear when the Canadian expansion does happen, or when we have new exciting products, which we just had 2 products come out recently, our Southern style potato salad and our baked beans. And we have a whole line of food coming out, our Southern soul food line coming out very soon. So you can have that to look forward to as well. And we do articles and blog posts just about what's happening, health, news. We do a couple interviews. I know we've sent one out about Chef AJ before.
I hear you have a very special burger coming out.
Yes, we just launched it, and it's a high protein burger. So there are, I believe, 15 grams of protein per patty. It's a small little patty, but it's packed with plant protein. It's packed with fiber. It has obviously more fiber than a regular burger. It has more iron than a regular burger. It has, more calcium than a regular burger. So it's overall just healthier. There's no oil in there, and it holds up really well on a grill. So we have a summer bundle, and there's 2 packs, so 8 total patties that come in there. Throw them on your grill, have a barbecue, have friends over. We've had people say that they taste better than a regular burger, better than Beyond Burger.
Now, is it legume based?
There are chickpeas in it. So I would say probably less than a quarter of it is chickpeas. There are beans in it. It's also, garlic, onion, zucchini, carrot, red pepper, spinach, a little bit of oats. There's walnuts in it. There are some nuts as well. But just
sounds delicious. So I know that you're going to be making a balsamic reduction today for your recipe, but very soon you won't need to do that. And the reason is, watching live today is Thomas Allen, who sponsors the show and gives everyone that lives in the United States 2 free bottles of his delicious reduced balsamic vinegar. And he's also asking, is it possible to have orders shipped to customers only once or twice a month? And if so, how do you customize shipments?
Absolutely. We actually have a wide range of ways that you can either subscribe or one-time order. So you can choose a bundle, have a one-time purchase, call it a day, or you can choose a la carte, have a one-time purchase, and then not have another bundle come in at any point. So it's just a one and done. And then you can sign up for our subscription, where you can sign up every week, every other week, once a month. It's totally in your hands. You can cancel at any time. We give you a login so you can pause, cancel. It really just gives you flexibility. I know a lot of people like to do a monthly or every other week subscription just so they have food in stock. But I would really recommend for people that do want to be on a subscription to order the Chef's Choice bundle, because we rotate that every week. And so you'll get a total variety of food, and it still comes with serving suggestions. It's still free shipping, but it'll give you a nice variety, especially if you haven't ordered before and you want to give everything a try.
I just read a nice comment from Reeves. Wow, Chef Caroline is so pretty. And when somebody commented on how nice your kitchen looked, I almost in my head said, well, pretty kitchen, pretty chef.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And
There's a little bit of glow going on. It's pretty warm up here.
well, you're really young, aren't you? I mean, you look like you're 22. You don't have to say your age, by the way.
Oh no, I'm 26. It's all the plants, but every time I run into someone that's plant-based, I really think that they look younger than they are too, because they just don't have that oxidation. And we actually, speaking of, we have a beauty bundle, and it is really high in foods with beta carotene. We have a lot of flaxseed in there. We have a lot of foods with lycopene that helps against sun damage. Protein for nice skin, nails, and hair. So the beauty bundle, it also has serving suggestions, different ways to pair your MamaSezz with other foods that'll promote healthy skin, nail, and hairs. And that is on our website. It's called the Beauty Bundle, and that has free shipping as well. But I do notice that whenever I go to those plant-based conferences, you yourself, Chef AJ, everybody there is absolutely glowing.
Nice. Yeah, very. So Sharon says this, she wishes MamaSezz was like available at hospitals like all the time. You didn't have to order it. It just was permanent.
Oh, we have worked on that for a little bit. We are hoping eventually to have potentially, cooler cases down in hospitals, so that in their cafeteria area, we've talked about trying to get MamaSezz into schools. We just want it to be really accessible for people. And we'd love to have it in the cities, in the food deserts where it's, all you have nearby is a bodega or a convenience store, and it's really hard to get fresh fruits and vegetables, and having a pre-made dinner for your family accessible and ready to go is a lot easier, because not everybody has access to that all the time. And especially when you're healing, when you're in the hospital and your options are really limited, it can be difficult if you're trying to heal.
Here's an interesting question from Janet. Could I order by subscription but have delivery to different addresses to share with my adult families to encourage plant-based? I imagine you could get it shipped anywhere, but you can't really break up the bundles and ship a little here and a little there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to break up the bundles, but if you wanted 1 week to ship to one family member, another week to ship to another family member, and just have once a week it going to different areas, you can log in to your account and just change your shipping address. And if you have any questions, our customer service, Mindy is the head of customer service. She is the nicest, sassiest kind. She has so much personality, and she'll help you through anything you need, especially shipping wise, or if you have any questions about your products. And we have a total money back guaranteed. So if you're not satisfied in any way, we will automatically refund you, no questions asked.
Nice. Jennifer saying free shipping in California. Nice. From my understanding, it's free shipping anywhere in the United States. Does that include Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico?
Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't include those three. You can get it shipped there, but it is more expensive. And it's just the bundles that are free shipping all over the US. If you are in the eastern side of the country, if you order over $89 worth of a la carte, then you can also have free shipping. And you can tack on 4 or 5 a la carte items to any bundle and ride that out with the free shipping to your destination.
Right. Marcella wants to know, does MamaSezz use organic ingredients?
We're about, I would say 98%. We kind of juggle between being local and organic. Some of the smaller farms aren't certified organic, but they don't use pesticides. But since it's such a small local operation, they don't have that certification because it's quite a process to go through. And we prefer to be local, so we try to get our food from Vermont and New Hampshire when we can. And so sometimes, if one of our suppliers is out of a specific ingredient, we'll get it from another local farm that may not be certified organic.
Right. So there's a question, single serving options. You said that there are, correct? But it depends, because like if you're eating like me, what you think of as for 4 is just for me. So
exactly. I'm the same way. I'll sit there and eat one of those 3 serving bags of chili just with a spoon and can't stop it. But yeah, we have the Just For Me bundle, and that everything is in 1 to 2 serving containers. And I believe there's 14 or so products in that bundle, somewhere around there. And it's great if you haven't tried the MamaSezz food before, because it gives you a nice variety. You get to try more products than if you just got one of our standard bundles. And and everything's in a resealable bag too. So, you eat half of it, put it in the microwave, just seal the rest up for later, or throw it in the freezer if you're not going to eat it all right away.
Right. There's a question, and I'm sorry that what I see is different. What you guys see and goes very fast. So I apologize for not saying your name, but somebody asked, are any of your offerings suitable for somebody on a very low sodium diet?
Yes, perfect question. We have our SOS free bundle with Chef AJ, and every single product in there is totally SOS free. We have a whole SOS free line, and I had mentioned everything is oil and sugar free, and then we have a line of salt free as well. Everything else is low sodium, except for I believe 1 or 2 products they're definitely not high sodium, but they just don't make the mark for low sodium. All of our nutritionals are up on our website. But if you are looking for no salt, very, very low sodium, I would definitely recommend the Chef AJ bundle.
Great. Susan says, I've ordered from MamaSezz. It's really good. Karen says, I love Millie's chili. And Lori says, and this was going to be my next question, but she posted it. If a bundle contains a food allergen, like for that individual, is a substitution allowed?
Absolutely. We just ask that you write in the comments if you have any allergies, and we'll have our customer service department call you, and then we can talk to you and see if there's any other dish that really strikes your fancy that you want to swap it out with. If you see a dish that you want to swap it out with right off the bat, you can make those substitutions right in the comments, and we'll make sure to comply to that. Because, you know, I have a million allergies. Everyone I know has a million allergies. It's really difficult when you're trying to order and everything's in bundles. So yeah, feel free to swap things out. We're very flexible on that end.
That's terrific. So if you'd like to start the recipe, I think I caught up with all the questions. And if there's time, people love to know what our guests eat, how they exercise, what they read, what they watch on Netflix, and more important, your skincare routine. Everybody wants to know that from our guests.
Okay, great. We'll dive right in. So like I said, this is my mother's recipe that I've adapted recently. I love to put a balsamic reduction on the top like we talked about, and if you can buy that, amazing. If you don't have that on hand, you can just get regular balsamic vinegar and just cook it down a little bit. I advise you not to get too close and sniff the pan because it will, the vinegar is very intense. But I just put a half a cup or so if you have a little pot, and just keep a close eye on it so it doesn't burn. Very low heat. And I'm just gonna start that right off the bat so it can cook off while we cook here. And I will hopefully not forget about that. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is make the sauce. And I've soaked half a cup of cashews. I tend to do things a little bit last minute, and so I forgot to put them in the refrigerator last night. I always try to have some soaked cashews on hand, but what you can also do is put a little water in there, pop it in the microwave for a minute or so, or pour boiling water over the cashews, and then it only really takes about 15 minutes or so. It's a lot easier. And so I put half a cup of raw cashews. If you are doing a low-fat diet and you're not eating nuts, then you can substitute this for a half a cup of silken tofu. And that'll give you a similar texture, but without all the fat. While I was soaking cashews, I also put 8 to 10 or so raisins, and that'll just give you a little bit of sweetness in this sauce without making it too overwhelming, and it kind of keeps with the same flavor profile because we're going to put raisins into the salad a little bit later. So I'm just going to dump this right into my blender, single serve blender here, with a little bit of water to cover. And then only 2 more ingredients for the sauce. I'm going to put a tablespoon of curry powder. If this is your first time making it and you don't eat a lot of curry powder, maybe start with about half a tablespoon instead of a tablespoon. But I love flavor and I love spice, so I'm going to go with a full tablespoon here. And then last but not least, I'm going to put a tablespoon of lemon juice, because everything I cook, I stick by a rule, and it's FASS, fat, acid, sweet, and salt. And our salt today is going to be celery, because that does have sodium in it without adding the straight salt or sea salt. So I'm going to put my tablespoon of lemon juice in here. And if anybody has a Ninja blender, you know that this is about to be pretty loud. So I'm just going to go ahead and mute for just a second, spare you all.
Actually, I don't think she knows that Zoom actually usually takes care of it. Guys, thanks for the compliment on my hat, which I got for $5 at the swap meet a long time ago. I spun late. Can you say spun? Is that the past test of spin? Got on the bike late, so no time for a good hair day. So there she comes back. You know what, Chef Caroline, I think Zoom has a feature now that we don't hear the blender. At least that seems to be the case on many of these broadcasts.
Zoom has thought of everything. This is, that's one thing coming out of quarantine that it just makes it so much easier to communicate with friends and family and have business meetings and whatever you need to do at a distance, which I hope that people are still going to be communicating with their friends this way for long distance after all.
That's good. Hey, by any chance, Daryl is asking if you know not Daryl, Thomas is asking if you know the customer service phone number. I went on the website, I couldn't find it, and I'll post it in the chat if you know it by heart.
I don't know it by heart, but I will definitely get that to you afterwards, and we can
I'll put it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so next we are going to mash 2 cups of chickpeas. Some chickpeas are harder to mash than others. I try to go with salt-free chickpeas, but sometimes if they're hard to find, I'll just rinse them really thoroughly. And I know you can still have a little bit of salt in there. So if you're really strict about it, there is salt-free chickpeas available. And I just try to mash them enough so that they're able to absorb the flavor and you're not getting whole chickpeas in there, kind of like the texture of a chicken salad or a tuna salad. So once I mash that up, and sometimes actually I even use soy curls in place of the chickpeas. So if you don't eat beans, that would be a good substitution. They come dehydrated, you just soak them and then chop them up maybe in your food processor till you get the right texture. And that will give you a very similar texture to chicken. They're really delicious. You get them from Butler Foods.
Nice. The question is MamaSezz Foods non-GMO?
Yes, we are non-GMO and mostly organic, as we talked about a little bit earlier, but we do stay away from GMO foods, especially because we use soy and corn. And I know that the genetically modified or the ones with pesticide, the non-organic, tend to be a little bit rougher on people's systems. So we are GMO-free, pesticide-free, preservative-free as well.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but Lori was saying that it was so great that you're doing the recipe in the second half because she took the time to get everything prepped and she's cooking along with you.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that's such a great idea. I tried to have a couple nights with my friends where we all cooked together and we couldn't quite all get the ingredients in time, but it's another great thing you can do with your friends over Zoom if you're doing weekly meetings and catch up with family and whoever else. It can be really fun. So now that I've mashed these chickpeas, I'm going to put a half a cup of raisins in, and you can put a little bit less if you want if you're not doing the dried fruits. I like to soak raisins before I use them in different recipes because they're nice and plump, especially if you're going to eat it right away. If it's going to sit in the refrigerator overnight, it nicely absorbs all of the flavor on its own. But if you're doing it right away, it's good to soak them. Next, I am going to cut up some celery. I'm going to do about a cup of chopped celery, because I really like the refreshing flavor and the crunch that celery has. Some people think maybe it tastes a little bit more earthy. So if you're feeding it to somebody who's not used to eating so many vegetables, you can do a little bit less, maybe half a cup or 3/4. But I like, small bite-sized pieces. They don't overwhelm the recipe, something like this. And I'm just gonna pop those in there. And then next is going to be scallions, and I chop these up. I save a little bit for the top as a nice garnish, but it's really good to have them right in the recipe too. And I like to save the really, really green tops for the garnish and then put the lighter colored, firmer pieces actually in the mix of the recipe. So I'm going to take this, pop it in there.
Chef Caroline, I find like when I have to reduce balsamic, I don't save any money. I end up, than if I would have just bought the reduction.
Yes, I totally agree. And now that you've said that, I'm remembering to check on my balsamic, which if you're cooking along with me, this would be about a good time. It still needs a little bit more. And when I have something on the stovetop like that, I like to set a timer just in case, because it's really easy to forget about stuff like that, especially if you're reducing something or it's on there for a while. The reduced balsamic, you can get them a lot of places. And where was the the company that you said is selling it soon.
Well, they are located in Ukiah, California, but you're getting 2 free bottles, and they actually have a curry flavored, which might be great for drizzling on top.
Oh, I bet that would be absolutely delicious. I'm so excited to try that. And then going into this mix also, I like to put another half a cup of cashews. That's totally optional. You can put sunflower seeds, just gives it a little bit of a crunch, although you already have that from the celery. So it's not a big deal if you're not trying to eat a lot of nuts to just totally leave that out. Next, I'm just gonna mix it all together and then start adding the sauce. And as you're adding it, you can kind of decide on your own how much you want to add. I like to put it all in. I think it's a good amount because in my opinion, the more flavor, the more sauce, the better. But some people like a little bit of a drier chickpea salad. And then you just kind of fold it into itself. And you'll see all the beautiful colors. The curry gives it a beautiful yellow color, and then the pop of green that comes through in the raisins just makes it a really beautiful dish. That's why I really love it for summertime, because it's refreshing, it's gorgeous, and it looks so beautiful over greens, which is why next I'm gonna plate it. I have my fancy little bowl here. And I love arugula because it has a little spice to it and it holds up really well. So it takes longer to go bad than most other greens. And if you put something hot on it, which this is a cold dish, but if you put something hot on it, it's still gonna taste good, similar with spinach. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of greens in this bowl. I like to slice tomato and put those in as well. Just because not only does it look beautiful, but it's another refreshing flavor for summer. And tomatoes are loaded with lycopene, which can help your skin actually against sun damage, which means preventing fine lines, preventing skin sunburn when you're out at the beach all summer long. So it's always something good to eat, and it's also very good for hydration. So I kind of place them in a little circle, and then I'm just gonna take a scoop of this. This is enough for 4, by the way, but you know, if you wanna eat the whole thing yourself, I don't blame you, I've done it before myself. So I'm just gonna put a nice mound of the chickpea salad on there. And then it looks like my balsamic reduction is ready. And I'm just gonna go ahead and drizzle it right on, although when it cools, it does thicken up a little. So it'll be easier to drizzle, but that not only adds some beautiful color, but it also adds that little bite to it, because as we talked about, it's important to have a FASS, fat, acid, sweet, and salt. And our fat is coming from the cashews. Our acid is coming from both the lemon and the balsamic.
You know, when you said that it's important to have an FASS, I heard it's important to have a fat ass.
That's how you can remember it though, right? Oh, that's great. Yeah, that can be like a little jingly thing to remember. FASS. Oh, that's great. I've never thought of that. Yeah, and our sweet's coming from the raisins and the salt's coming from the celery. So this is your summertime chickpea curry salad, and it's amazing on a hot day because you don't have to heat up your kitchen, especially if you have that balsamic reduction on hand. No stovetop at all. All you need is a blender, a knife, and some veggies, raisins.
Oh my, everybody's saying it looks amazing. And it's like, I get so hungry on this show. That looks so delicious. And like you said, it's really all about the sauce. People that think animal products taste so good, have you ever tasted them like with nothing?
That's what I say to people. I'm like, oh, when was the last time you ate a chicken breast without anything on it? Like, nobody would do that. That's so weird. I'm like, just spice it how you'd spice your chicken, double the spice even to really get that pop of flavor that you're familiar with. It does all come from the spices and the sauces. I love sauces. Just pretty much there's nothing you can't put a sauce on.
Right. Robert and a few others have asking if they could substitute like cannellini beans or white beans for the silken tofu. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. Sometimes those are a little bit softer, so you might not even have to mush them around as much. And if you do get a harder bean, you can definitely use the food processor to help that go a little bit quicker, or a potato masher as well. But yeah, just make sure if you do use the cannellini beans, I know they come in a very kind of a thick starch, just to rinse them first so that doesn't all go into your salad and make it really liquidy.
Right. Robin asked if you could hold it up again really close so she could see it again. But you have to talk.
Okay, right. So you can see the balsamic reduction on top, the tomatoes. It's just a beautiful, vibrant dish. And I think summertime's a great time to just have color in your food and to make it a work of art, to make it beautiful. And the exciting thing about ordering from MamaSezz too is you have the extra time to really make your food pop. So for instance, I had chili the other night, and then I worked on taking sliced avocado and battering it with a little bit of chickpea flour and water and baking it. So, fried avocado and some spices, of course, putting that on top, and it looks like this beautiful professional dish. You get a little cilantro in there, and, it took me 10 minutes versus if I had made the chili from scratch. So you get the beautiful presentation, especially if you're having guests or friends, or you're just making a special dinner for your significant other or family, or even yourself. You gotta spend time on yourself. So summertime is a great time for food like this.
So speaking of spending time on yourself, do you take time for yourself? Do you have any favorite shows on Netflix or books that you're reading? Do you have time to exercise?
Yeah, I've just gotten back into exercising a little bit more. I played tennis in college, and I played tennis with my mother. I actually met Meg through tennis, the co-founder of MamaSezz, and that's how we connected. So I've been getting back a little bit to that. I've been playing against a brick wall for a while just because of the self-quarantine restrictions right now. So I've run a little bit. I'm not a big runner. I don't like long distance, and I'm like a dog. I'd rather be chasing a ball around. But my roommate and I have gone down to the beach, kicked a volleyball around for a little bit. I enjoy exercise where instead of being more repetitive, it's a little bit more fun, and there's a goal and a challenge to it. Actually, one of my favorite things to do, my roommate was also my roommate in college, and she was an athlete as well. And so we have planking contests, because I know if I try to do it myself, after 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, I'm done. But if you make it a little bit of a competition, it can be a lot more fun. I don't have a specific routine I do, but I definitely try to be active. I would say 20 minutes to 40 minutes a day if I can. And then there are some days where I'm traveling a lot, or I'm busy in the kitchen, or I'm busy with work, or, I'm doing one of my other hobbies where I'm not exercising. But I've taken up surfing recently. In the winter, I tried to snowboard.
Wait, how the heck do you surf in New Hampshire?
With a wetsuit, with a very, very thick wetsuit, because I've been going all winter. I got dragged into it by my boyfriend, who's an amazing surfer, and I'm still struggling. But I was amazed the first time I put on that wetsuit and got in the water. I was warm for probably 2 hours, and the beach is frozen. There's ice everywhere, and I felt absolutely fine, especially because I'm really paddling against the waves there, trying to keep up. Yeah, it was something I never really thought was possible to surf in the winter, but that's when the waves are best.
Right. Lori says this would make a great recipe for traveling or camping, and people are suggesting maybe red grapes cut in half for people that didn't want to use raisins, or cranberries instead, or pecans. So yeah, very versatile. Make it your own, guys.
Absolutely. About half the time I do grapes in this recipe, just because it's that refreshing pop, especially when it's hot out, is really nice. And it's funny that she mentioned traveling with it, or bringing it camping, or on an adventure, because this is one of my go-to recipes when I have a long distance drive. I just put it in a little cooler box, or I put it in a little cooler lunch box or something, and just eat it with a fork along the way whenever I'm a little bit hungry. But it keeps really well, and it just tastes even better the more it sits. It's one of those recipes that gets more flavorful with time. So it's absolutely great for travel, great for camping.
Yeah. Lisa says it would make great stuffed in a jacket potato, and Karen wants to get your new burger. So I'm guessing you get to eat while you're at work. So when you're at work, do you just eat MamaSezz, or how do you eat all your meals at MamaSezz, or do you actually have time to make some meals at home?
It's a little bit of both. MamaSezz actually gives all of our employees a bunch of free MamaSezz food each week. So we encourage our employees, even if they're not plant-based, at our production facility, to eat MamaSezz food because it just gives them that extra energy they need. And we give them each 2 packs of our strong heartbeats a week. And for those of you who don't know what the strong heartbeats are, that is a blended beet, blueberry, chia seed, date power smoothie mixture. And you can eat that straight out of the bag, and it's going to be great for your muscle recovery. It's going to give you lasting energy. Or you can put it into a smoothie with a banana, frozen banana, an orange, whatever you like. I put it over my oatmeal. It's not very sweet, and it's packed with antioxidants. But we give those to our employees so that they, have all the energy they need to power through the day. And so when I'm at the plant, I usually do eat MamaSezz food just because it gives me great energy. And then when I'm home, I work from home. Most days I experiment a little bit in the kitchen sometimes for potential recipes for MamaSezz. And then most of the time for myself, because I just really, really enjoy tasty food. And I think most people that love to cook really just enjoy the outcome.
That's great. Carol, you're asking about the recipe, and everyone, the recipe is always in the show notes. Already typed it in, so it's there and it'll stay there on YouTube. Lots of people are saying how pretty you are. So now, is that genetic or is that just because you turned vegan?
I definitely noticed that when I went plant-based, my skin cleared up, which was something that I had never really worried about before. I didn't have a ton of acne growing up, but I would get little bumps on my forehead. And when I went plant-based, those kind of disappeared. And I've noticed I have a little bit more of a glow ever since I went plant-based. And actually, to get super personal, my mother was, she was 65, going through a big life crisis, divorce, move, it was a lot. And I snuck in there, turned her plant-based. It was one of those things where I just kind of fed her really delicious plant-based food, and she was totally on board because she loves vegetables. And all of her friends kept coming up to her and saying, "Wow, you look amazing. You must be so happy right now. Like, what are you doing? Are you getting out and like doing things?" And it was a really tough time for her, but they were noticing that she just was looking more vibrant and healthy and overall happy, even though there was so much going on at that time. So I do think that it helps give you a natural glow and a lightness. Helps with clear skin, definitely, and it also helps slow the production of wrinkles and hair loss. My nails have never been stronger than when I'm plant-based. So there's a lot, like I mentioned, we have our beauty bundle, but really whole food plant-based meals in general will give you that extra boost.
Nice. Nell says, I played college tennis too. Where did Chef Caroline play? I wonder if our paths ever crossed.
Oh, cool. I played at Wheaton College in Norton, Massachusetts. And my coach at the time was plant-based and trying to get most of us to go plant-based. I had one vegan teammate. By the end of the year, there were 3 of us. And he started out by just encouraging people that had colds not to eat dairy or refined sugar to kind of help with the phlegm. And he would encourage people that are recovering from injuries to have more, less inflammatory foods. And little by little, we're just like, oh, we're feeling a little bit better here. Our recovery times are getting better. And actually, people always talk about the first thing they noticed when they went plant-based, like what in your body changed. And for me, I'm built like a runner, but like I mentioned, I'm not a runner at all. And I was trying so hard to be in the top 3 on my team for our timed mile that we did once a week. And I was training and I was at the gym every morning, and I was just like always, dead last or second to last, even though I was in incredible shape. I couldn't figure it out. And full disclosure, before I went plant-based, I was a 3 burgers a day kind of girl. Ice cream milkshakes for breakfast, bacon on everything. 4 or 5 people actually bought me shirts that had like bacon puns on them because I was such a bacon eater. And everyone was very, very shocked when I did go plant-based, and I wasn't overweight, and I didn't think that I felt unhealthy because at the time I was so young and so active, and I had never known anything different. But about 2 weeks after I went plant-based, I was in the top 3 for our timed mile. And I was like, what changed? What's different? Because I had stopped training in the gym every morning. I had given up on that. And it really was that my body was just able to handle it, wasn't bogged down by trying to process, all that saturated fat. And I wasn't spiking, crashing because of all the sugar. And I was able to just be my pure self and power through. And so, even walking up the stairs to class at the time, my 22-year-old friends were panting and I was like, okay, let's keep going. So it was really the energy that I felt. But yeah, Wheaton College, plant-based coach, that was definitely a driving factor to helping me get on the plant-based path, which I'm so happy I did.
Yeah. Nell says it's so cool that your coach was plant-based. Are you still in touch with him or her?
I am. He is now the coach for Brandeis. And he was the coach for both the men's and the women's team. And we actually have an article about him on the MamaSezz website. So you can type in plant-based tennis coach, I believe will get you there. His name is Hari Pandian. And he was an awesome coach. He said, the healthiest he ever felt was like right after he switched plant-based, all of his stomach issues went away. He's a coach, so he was exercising 8-9 hours a day, and people were saying, how are you doing this? And he just said, I have all the energy in the world. I'm fueled by plants, and
he's still plant-based today and still encouraging his athletes to go plant-based?
Absolutely. He's still plant-based. I follow him on Instagram, so I know that because he posts tons of pictures of delicious food.
Can you introduce me? Because I think he'd make a great interview.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He was a really good coach. He was also talked a lot to both our male and female athletes about, the pressure put on people and athletes in college to be a certain way, especially like based on their gender. And he helped to kind of make people feel more comfortable with who they were. So he was more than just a coach. He helped with, diet. He helped with self-confidence. And he was really, really driven. But I will definitely put you two in touch. I know he'd love to speak to you. He's been plant-based for probably 10 years now. And I can still picture him walking around with his smoothie this big.
Because I'm really interested in people like that with stories. I love introducing new people to my community in the world. And I love interviewing all of what I call the usual suspects, McDougall, Furman, Goldhammer, Lyle, Essie, Colin. I love them, Gregor. But I really want to focus on like people doing great things in their community, like people like you and your coach that people don't know about. And that's really what my purpose for this show is. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I think, everybody's just happy to spread their word. They don't want to be preachy, but there's so many people who want to learn and want to feel better. So, having someone from all walks of life talk about it is so important because, me speaking to somebody who has heart disease in their 60s is going to be a lot different than me speaking to somebody who's, in my generation and feels good and they're healthy and they're not feeling pressured to make a change. They need to be looking out for their future. So I think it's really good for people to see a bunch of diversity in the plant-based world because there is so much diversity.
Right. Tell us about the free greens. And I'm going to post the link again because I know if they order, I've been posting the link every now and then. What kind of greens are there and how did you think to do that?
Absolutely. Well, we just, everything that we send out is totally cooked and prepared. And since we are the center of the plate, we're not going to send you a dish with two sides and a center. We're the center. You can do fresh greens because it's important to eat raw foods as your side. And so for instance, in our weight loss plan, we give you a day-by-day structure about what to eat. And we want you to eat a lot of leafy greens. And we think that really helps people get the best results, whether they are trying to lose weight, whether they're trying to up their athletic performance. We also have an athletes bundle that I forgot to mention when we were talking about my coach, or whether they're just trying to feel a little bit better. And leafy greens, as you know, are so, so, so important and such an important part of that we're like, we need to just provide people with that. They'll have it in their fridge, they'll eat it, and then they'll feel great. So we have either kale, sometimes we have mesclun, sometimes we have mixed greens, sometimes it's arugula. It's different each week, but it is organic, it's pre-washed, and you'll either get a big bag or two little bags. And it'll come right in your MamaSezz box so that you can just pop it on a plate, have it as a salad with your MamaSezz meal, or incorporate it into your MamaSezz products. So if you want to make a big salad and put some of your Buddha bowl base in there, kind of beef it up a little bit, then that's fine too. You can use it any way you'd like.
Nice. Well, this has been great. I mean, I'd love you to come back. You're just great.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to come back. I love talking to you. You have such a great presence.
Well, thank you. Gosh, if I knew what you knew at your age and looked like you at your age, who knows where I'd be today. Oh, you're great. So thank you so much. This is just such a delicious recipe. You've made me so hungry. And thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. We hope you'll come back tomorrow. The show is almost always at 11 a.m. Pacific time, unless we have a doctor or a chef from a country where that's not possible. And my guest tomorrow is a real hoot. He was recommended to me by Dr. John McDougall, and his name is Dr. Nick Delgado. So check out MamaSezz. The free greens offer is there, and you can customize, and they'll ship everywhere in the United States for free, except for Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. And hopefully they'll get to other countries and other places soon. That's what we hope. Thanks again, Chef Caroline. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here with you today. Bye.